Currently in America, we are dealing with an overdose epidemic, and particularly in this pocket of the nation, an opioid crisis. So right now we are joined by someone who's going to talk to us about that crisis in Oswego County. I'd like to introduce him right now. His name is Chris Bastow. Chris, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you are the Senior Director of Services at Farnam Family Service in Oswego, and we are going to be talking about opioid treatment by primarily, I want to focus on young people, on the young people. So let's start with the basics so folks at home understand what an opioid is. I don't think a lot of people are clear on that. Can you explain that to me?
Sure. Let me do my best here. An opioid in general is a pain-relieving substance. It works on the pain receptor. So we have, on the one hand, prescribed pain medication in the form of hydrocodone, OxyContin, Oxy, Tylenol with codeine, things that we commonly find prescribed. And then we also have, illicit forms of substances as well, like heroin and fentanyl and so forth that you can get off the street.
So you have programs at Farnam that assist folks struggling with this kind of addiction. Can you talk to me about those programs and what different ones might look like, especially for young folks?
Yeah, we have a variety of programs. So at first we have our prevention programming. So prevention in general happens largely in the schools and out in the community. Through our prevention networks, if someone is identified to have a substance use disorder or a concern, then they're referred to our treatment side of the house. And so for treatment, we have a variety of programs. We have outpatient treatment in general, and then we also have our opioid treatment programs. And so both of those programs can involve medication for opioid use disorder, methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol. Those are our three, and or you could have them without medication as well. And so our programming involves group sessions, individual sessions, family sessions, support for significant others, support from peers who've been in recovery themselves can offer their support. So we have wraparound treatment services to work with all facets of substance use disorder.
Do they go out in the community to interact or do different things during treatment? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, for us, a lot of the community events take place with our recovery services, and those are our peers. And so if you're struggling with substance use disorder, you can have a peer who's in recovery, meet you at your house or meet you at a park and help you navigate your long-term recovery. So there's a lot of community work, but by and large, the clinical elements happen in our clinics.
So this may seem repetitive, but I want you to kind of pull it out and generalize it because treatment is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Can you give me a general idea of what treatment may look like in a general sense for somebody?
Yeah, if I were walking in for treatment today, I would expect to come in and have an assessment first off. So I want to call and figure out, is this the place I should go? Can I get support here? And then I would have an assessment and they would ask me some questions to find out, am I really struggling with substance use disorder, or is it more mental health, or what other kind of support could I have? And so once I identify as having a substance use disorder, then treatment can begin. And so I meet my individual counselor, my primary therapist, who will walk with me on my recovery journey. And so I'll have my individual therapist, and then I'll be offered a menu of other services that I could pick from. And that's the individualized part that you mentioned. And so I could say, I would love to go to a men's group, or a teen group, or a mental health group, or a group to help me with my anxiety, or whatever it is. And we have a broad menu of services that we offer. And I'd like to have a peer who's been through it, who can walk me through this. And maybe I'd like medication as well. And also, if I don't have a primary care doctor, I could get primary care at Farnam as well. And so I could basically create this bespoke program for myself to help me navigate my long-term recovery. And that can change over time depending on what I need when. And so it truly is individualized, like you're saying.
That's valuable. I don't think I was even aware something like that would happen, that you could individualize it like that, and it addresses so many pieces. And it sounds like some peers, some graduates become part of these programs.
Absolutely.
What do they do? How do they become involved?
So you're right. Many people in recovery, to generalize, are in a position to take their experience and give back, and try to help others. And that's such a fundamental part of recovery for a long time now, the ability to do that. So, many folks who've gone through our programs end up, we also have a training institute at Farnam, and so they sign up for coursework to become credentialed to provide certified recovery peer advocate services and other types of peer services with lived experience. And so we're in a time when lived experience becomes a great resource for folks in recovery. It's very approachable, non-judgmental, and so there's a direct pathway from my success in recovery to my use of my lived experience as a professional tool and a career as well.
That's fascinating, yeah. So talk to me about early intervention. I know that this is key.
Yeah.
Does that shift the success rate of recovery if there is early? Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. I think the main thing, especially as we're talking with a younger population too, early intervention I think buys us time. If we can intervene early and promote awareness and education around what are we talking about, where are the risks, and do some of the harm reduction efforts that we're talking about, we basically buy time for someone to be able to seek support and start on the path of recovery. And so I think early intervention for young folks buys us time. The other piece with early intervention, though, I think is also that when you're talking about a young person who's just beginning the recovery journey, you're not talking about someone who's got a 20-year relationship with an opioid, for example, that's very, very difficult to change. You're talking about someone that's the hope for me, is that someone who changes actually pretty easy, when you're younger, by and large. And so I think early intervention is the key, And so when I see someone who's young, even getting any kind of support, I get hopeful because change is quite possible.
We've got about a minute, but this question has come to me. People have to want recovery. Do you find that some people want recovery, but they're so caught in the addiction they don't know how to take that step?
Absolutely. And the word recovery, I think, is now a very broad word. And so I think 10, 15 years ago, it used to mean abstinence and sobriety. Now it means any effort, I think, to build supports around you so that you can have a life worth living. I think that's recovery now. And so it used to be sort of either you want it or you don't. And it's much more nuanced now where, do you want a life worth living? Absolutely. You want recovery.
I love that. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for educating us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a bunch.
All right.